It's not your turn yet. It's not your turn yet. The hour of convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. This time I'd ask that all unauthorized persons exit the chamber. Easy for me to say. It's my distinct honor to recognize the Rules Chairman, Senator from the 53rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a wonderful day. A lot of decisions are being made and a lot of people working hard for the people of Georgia. Moment in history. In 1785, the University of Georgia is founded, the first public university in the United States of America. Also, in 1970, one of my favorite times, the Allman Brothers Band took a trip to the Grand Canyon and did a marvelous concert right there. The journal, Mr. President, has been read and found to be correct.
Was that all you had for us today? You had a couple of extra hours to prepare.
Well, I got a lot of stuff, but nothing from Georgia here. So.
Well, nothing? All right. I feel like I'm singing out of the choir here. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. All right, the Senate will come back to order. We had to get a little bit of paperwork in line. Mr. Secretary, will you please read bills and resolutions from the Senate for the first time?
Senate Bill 375 by Senators Mullis of the 53rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend titles 20, 36, and 50 of the OCGA relating to education, local government, and state government.
Education and youth.
Senate Bill 376 by Senators Merritt of the 9th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act relating to education districts for the election members of the Board of Education of Gwinnett County, approved April 7th, 1972.
State and local government.
Senate Bill 377 by Senators Hatchett of the 50th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend titles 20 and 50 of the OCGA relating to education and state government respectively.
Education and youth.
Senate Bill 378 by Senators Albers of the 56th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to reckless conduct so as to expand the
Judiciary.
definition. Senate Bill 379 by Senators Strickland of the 17th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to vocational, technical, and adult education so as to provide for the State Board of Technical College System of
Economic
Georgia.
development.
Senate Bill 380 by Senators Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 51 of the OCGA relating to imputable negligence so as to remove
Judiciary.
the vicious. Senate Bill 381 by Senators Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16613 of the OCGA relating to penalties for violating code
Judiciary.
sections. Senate Bill 382 by Senators Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16664 of the OCGA relating to child molestation and aggravated child molestation so as to provide provisions.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 383 by Senators Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 2 of Title 35 of the OCGA relating to general provisions concerning the Department of Public Safety so as to provide for an instructional course or presentation educating drivers and the public.
Public safety.
Senate Bill 384 by Senators Anderson of the 24th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners for Columbia County, approved March 21st.
State and local government.
Senate Bill 385 by Senators Anderson of the 24th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the election of the Board of Education.
State and local government.
Senate Bill 386 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Meriwether County, approved December 14th, 1871. So
State
as
and
amended.
local government.
Senate Bill 387 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Meriwether County of Board of Education, approved March 28th, 1985, as
State
amended.
and local government.
Senate Bill 388 by Senators Jackson of the 2nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4 of Title 34 of the OCGA relating to minimum wage so as to reverse.
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 389 by Senators Jackson of the 2nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 28 of Title 31 of the OCGA relating to
Economic development.
Senate Bill 390 by Senator Jackson of the 2nd, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to imposition, rate, computation,
Finance.
Senate Bill 391 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Jeff Davis County, approved March 25th, 1958.
State and local government.
Senate Bill 392 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the election of members of the Board of Education of Jeff Davis County, approved March
State
20.
and local government.
Senate Bill 393 by Senators Dolezal of the 27th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 46 of the OCGA relating to public utilities and public
Regulated
transportation.
industries.
Senate Bill 394 by Senators Dolezal of the 27th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Titles 10 and 50 of the OCGA relating to commerce and trade and state government respectively.
Science and technology.
Senate Bill 395 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 1562 of the OCGA relating to the number of judges of Superior Court so as to provide for a third judge.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 396 by Senators Goodman of the 8th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 17 of Title II of the OCGA relating to Georgia State Nutrition Assistance Program, so as to rename the program the
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 397 by Senators Goodman of the 8th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Titles 15, 20, 25, 40, 42, and 43 of the OCGA relating to courts, education, fire protection, and safety.
Higher education.
Senate Bill 398 by Senators Watson of the 1st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 101664 of the point 1 of the OCGA relating to restrictions on the ownership.
Economic development.
Senate Resolution 395 by Senators Watson of the 1st and others, a resolution recognizing February 2022 as Self-Care Awareness Month and for other purposes.
Rules.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, please.
House Bill 889 by Representatives Hawkins of the 27th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for districts for the education of the Board of Education of Hall County.
State and local government.
House Bill 909 by Representatives Nix of the 69th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Troup County, approved March 25th, 1958, as amended, particularly.
State and local government.
House Bill 921 by Representatives Alexander of the 66th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Douglas County, approved February 15th, 1952, as amended, particularly by an act.
State and local government.
House Bill 922 by Representatives Alexander of the 66th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the Douglas County Board of Education, approved.
State and local government.
House Bill 935 by Representatives Hill of the 3rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the office of Commissioner of Catoosa County,
State and local government.
House Bill 936 by Representatives Hill of the 3rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Education of Catoosa County, Georgia, approved March 30th, 1993, as amended, particularly by an act.
State and local government.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Ms. Secretary, will you please read reports of standing committees?
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 231 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Payne of the 54th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 369 do pass. Respectively submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chairman. Mr. President, Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the local legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: House Bill 880 do pass, and Senate Bill 373 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: House Bill 876 do pass, House Bill 877 do pass, House Bill 883 do pass, Senate Bill 365 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: House Bill 305 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Ms. Secretary, can you please read bills and resolutions for the second time?
Senate Bill 330 by Senators Albers of the 56th and others, Giving the Gift of Life Act, an act. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, it's now time for our morning roll call. There comes the senator from the 33rd. Don't pull any hamstrings. Take your time. Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, y'all. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators for business outside the Capitol: 37, 26, 16,
17, and 19.
Without objection, the senators from the 37th, 26th, 16th, 17th, and 19th are excused. The chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we dispense with the afternoon roll call.
The majority leader has moved that we dispense with the afternoon roll call. Is there objection? That's why you got two. There's no objection, and the roll call is waived. All right, it's now time for our morning. Senator from the 15th, do you need to, for what purpose do you, oh, your button's broke, I got you. It's now time for our morning or afternoon devotional, and ask that all senators take your seats and our doorkeepers secure the chamber. I'd like to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and then introduce you to our chaplain of the day. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation. Well, it's my honor to take a brief moment here to introduce somebody who is certainly not a stranger to our chamber over the years and certainly to the Capitol, and not even a stranger to this year. Reverend George Dillard has been with us already this session. Many of us know him. Many of us enjoy his great words. He's been a pastor at the Peachtree City Christian Church for the last 27 years. And I can tell you that beyond a shadow of a doubt that when I'm at one of those moments in time where this life in politics just doesn't seem worth it, or it's challenging, or it's confusing, I seem to get a text or a phone call from George that warms up my spirit and reminds me of a quote that one of his friends gave, and I'm not certain where this came from or which friend this is, but somehow this ended up on my desk. He is crazy, but he loves Jesus more than anyone I know. It's with that I'd like to present to you Reverend George Dillard.
That was one of my mentors. Thank you. Well, you've been warned. So I got out of seminary. 1985, took my first ministry in Effingham County, Georgia. And when I was moving into my office, one of the elders there at the church told my dad, said, we're a little bit worried about George. And he said, why? He said, well, these people down here can be a mite stubborn. My dad started laughing. He said, what's so funny about that? He said, son, I believe you've met your match. And that's been my way of doing things. What is right is right. But we get hung up on stuff because we are used to it, because we like it, because it makes us feel good or we're comfortable. Not long after I got started in 1988, I decided, you know what, we needed to have more hymnals available. That was back in the day. I got checking hymnal prices, and hymnals were $20 a piece, and I needed 150 of them. And I looked into this idea of having a slide projector with a carousel that had 750 songs in it, and it was less than 20 hymnals. Made perfect sense to me, common sense. So I bought it. Not long after that, I got a letter that said that I was going to hell, because if the hymnal was good enough for Paul and Silas, it should be good enough for me. Now, don't confuse people with the facts, okay? But what had happened is that this gentleman had gotten attached to something that really doesn't matter. okay? Book, no book. Songs are still the same. The heart's still the same. The message is still the same. Sometimes we have to change things to make things better. Sometimes we have to change things to correct past grievances or problems. It's not easy. Sometimes it takes a stubborn nature. Sometimes it requires us to be uncomfortable. Sometimes it requires us to be somebody's enemy. Not on purpose, but just because they can't come to the place that we need to be. What we have to seek is understanding and compassion, truth, and serving others. Now, I'd like to share with you a paraphrase from a letter that one of the apostles wrote to one of the churches, and he says, don't love the world's ways. Don't love the world's goods. Love of the world squeezes out love for what matters most. Practically everything that goes on in the world, wanting your own way, wanting everything for yourself, or wanting to appear important, has nothing to do with the things that truly matter. It just isolates us from love and unity. The world, in all its wanting, is on the way out. But whoever focuses on what matters and caring about others is set for the life that is more than simply trying to make it through one more day. We need to do what's right, whether it's difficult, whether it's popular, whether it's easy, or whether everybody agrees. If it's right, it's right. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And you know, if you're going to be stubborn about something, be stubborn about what is right, what is good, caring for others, what the Bible describes as love. Would you join me in a word of prayer? Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunities that we have to stand for truth, to stand for what is right, to stand for what is good, to stand for those who can't stand for themselves. Father, I pray that you'd give this august body wisdom, discernment, clarity, a stubbornness that comes from a desire for the truth and for good. I pray your blessing on their lives and their wisdom and their deliberations, and give us all a heart for each other, and help us all to honor you, and we honor your Son, and it's in his name that we pray. Amen.
Are there any unanimous consents? The chair would like to recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to rescind the Senate's action on passing 3 local bills yesterday. Those bills were Senate Bill 362, Senate Bill 367, and Senate Bill 368.
Does the majority leader wish to speak to that motion?
Yes, Mr. President. Yesterday we passed 3 local...
Chair recognizes the majority leader to speak to his motion.
As GPB is ready, we'll get going. Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday we passed 3 local bills on the local consent calendar. We were informed last night by the Secretary of the Senate that the bills have been placed on the consent calendar prematurely. Specifically, the Georgia Constitution requires that local bills may not be voted on before the second day following introduction. These 3 bills, Senate Bill 362, 367, and 368, were introduced on January 25th, and thus, per the Constitution, were not eligible for passage until today, January 27th. To cure this defect, we need to unwind our vote from yesterday and vote on the bills again today. I'm advised that the way of accomplishing this vote is to rescind the Senate's action of passing these bills yesterday and then voting on them again today on a separate local consent calendar. It is my understanding that the minority leader has been briefed on this as well. Yes. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions. Chair recognizes the senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the senator yield?
No.
Well, good. Said I got one little problem here. Said I play a lot of golf, and I've always hit that ball in the woods and wondered why in the hell did I do that. Said is this like a mulligan?
This would be a mulligan. And I had to pay $5 at the registration to get this mulligan, and it's the only one I get this session, so this is a mulligan.
It feels like you just broke 5 Senate rules in 8 seconds, but we'll move on. You have no more questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? The chair sees none. Mr. Secretary, would you like to read the captions on the 3 bills?
Senate Bill number 362, a bill by Senator Goodman of the 8th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to create the Lanier County Building Authority, approved July 29, 2020, so as to revise the definition of project and for other purposes. Senate Bill number 367, a bill by Senator Gooch of the 51st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide for the election of the members of the Lumpkin County Board of Education and for other purposes. Senate Bill number 368, a bill by Senator Gooch of the 51st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to provide for the method of election of the members of the Board of Education of White County and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, the question is on the motion from the majority leader that the Senate rescind its passage of Senate Bill 360 through 362, 367, and 368. All those in favor of the motion will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the motion, the yeas are 36 and nays are 0. The motion is passed, and the Senate has rescinded passage of Senate Bills 362, 367, and 368. We will take another vote on passage of these bills later today under a supplemental local consent calendars. Any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? The chair recognizes the senator from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today for something that's very important to me. First, to recognize my lovely wife of 41 years, Thea, and my son, Will. But more importantly, my grandson, Grant, his birthday is Sunday. He's be 5 years old, and I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. Thank you, Mr. President. You're the well.
Happy birthday. Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I rise once again just to remind you all who go home and are not in the ATL area to bring red for Go Red Day. I know I spoke about it yesterday, but this is just a reminder since we're going to not be here tomorrow. So please go red for women, bring your red, wear your red on Go Red Day. That's going to be on the 3rd of February. So you won't have to say you forgot to bring it, you didn't remember to bring it. I'm reminding you for the second time, go red for women. Beg pardon? Okay, it's on the 3rd. The official day is it takes 3 times for it to absorb. I'm sorry, you guys, for you all. Write it down right now so you can remind yourself tomorrow. So it'll be your 3rd time. Thank you. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 39th for a point of personal privilege. I'll do it at the end, because nobody's paying
attention. Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, colleagues. Today marks the 77th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration and labor camp, and it's a day that has come to be known the world over as Holocaust Remembrance Day. And we mark this solemn occasion every year so that we never forget the horrors and atrocities of the Holocaust, which claimed the lives of 6 million Jewish people and millions of others. 1 million people were killed at Auschwitz-Birkenau alone by the Nazi regime. So this day is not about guilt or sadness or rehashing the past. It is a day to think about how and why the Holocaust happened at all. We remember the Holocaust because it must never be allowed to happen again anywhere in the world. It is not ancient history, and the hatred that drove those horrors still exists today. Less than 2 weeks ago, a gunman held 4 hostages in a standoff that lasted around 11 hours at Colleyville Congregation Beth Israel, a synagogue northeast of Fort Worth, Texas. And in 2020, the Anti-Defamation League recorded over 2,000 acts of anti-Semitic assault, vandalism, and harassment, the 3rd highest year on record since ADL began tracking anti-Semitic incidents in 1979. If we are not eternally vigilant, if we do not continue to tell the truth of the Holocaust, then we risk its reoccurrence or other variations of its reoccurrence. These stories need to be told because they are an everlasting reminder that genocides do not happen in countries that have democracies. They happen when democracies fail. It is a reminder that the Holocaust occurred because people, regular citizens, and leaders made choices that allowed it to happen. They did not live up to their responsibilities to protect others, particularly those that were different than they were. It is a reminder that as leaders, as citizens, and as just humans, we have a wide circle of responsibility to others in our democracy. We must protect and nurture this democracy and each other. We must stand up for those who deserve our care and protection. The story of the Holocaust is a reminder that the systematic murder of 6 million Jewish people and millions of others because of their ethnicity, political beliefs, sexual orientation, or religion was possible because of the silence or complicity of ordinary people. Adolf Hitler alone was not responsible for the Holocaust. It could not have happened without the choices made by individuals, organizations, and governments. The story of the Holocaust will be shared because it is a story for everyone to be reminded that humans can do horrible things in the name of what seems at the time to be a good reason. We must remember every word has consequence, and just as importantly, every silence does as well. Those of us in this chamber have a greater responsibility than most to combat hate and violence wherever we see it. And on this Holocaust Remembrance Day, I hope we will all commit to fulfilling that responsibility. I want to also share that earlier today, I was joined by members and the executive director of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, the Bremen Jewish Heritage Museum, the Anti-Defamation League, and the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust in recognition of this day and to recognize them for the work that they do. I want to also point out that we have members right here in this chamber who sit on the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust, our senator, good senator from the 15th and the good senator from the 32nd, and formerly our senator from the 2nd. So, Holocaust Remembrance Day, let us not forget, and we remember. Thank you so much. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th for a point of personal privilege.
I rise today to recognize my firstborn. 29 years ago today, I cut the umbilical cord on Sarah Elizabeth Robertson. She is the kid that taught me how to be a dad. She has bounced all over this country. She has put her phone so that I could follow her around the country as she goes and pickets and protests and marches for the things she believes in. She's brought her friends to our house after she calmed them down that her father was a retired cop, that her father was a state senator, and that her father was a Republican. She is my heart. She makes me smile when I think about her. She favors me a little more than I wish she did, but she thinks it's something worthwhile. And so to my daughter, Sarah Elizabeth, who I know is listening or watching in Joshua Tree, California, I want to tell her how much I love her, how proud I am of her, and thank her for making me the dad I am today. Happy birthday, Sarah Elizabeth, and Mr. President, I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 43rd. There she is. 43rd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Today I rise for a couple of reasons. One, tomorrow is, no, it's today. What's today, 28? 27. Okay, so tomorrow, right, as I was saying, is the 28th. And it is, I do this every year, my parents' 66th wedding anniversary. Yay, Mom and Dad, for hanging in there. So happy anniversary to those young people. And I pray that God continues to give them long quality of life, and I am their best accomplishment. after their wedding anniversary, I'm the best. Secondly, I rise.
Do you have their phone number?
I do. I do. My siblings would probably not agree to that, but I'll give it to you. Secondly, I rise as a member of the MARTOC committee, to honor the life and service of Jeff Parker. Jeff Parker was the CEO of MARTA, general manager and CEO of MARTA. He had a very long career in transportation that began in 1985 at Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority. He had a total of more than 35 years of experience in public and private sector of the transportation industry. He took on MARTA's leadership in March of 2018 and had been directing the agency's most ambitious transit expansion and modernization program since its founding 40 years ago. As I quote Rita Scott, on behalf of the members of MARTOC and the MARTA board, we are devastated at his loss as we value Jeff's leadership and look forward to him bringing his vision to fruition for transit. We know that his passing was because of suicide. And just yesterday, we saw Speaker Ralston hold a press conference for House Bill 1013 as it allows access to Georgians for mental health services. We take this to heart as his family has lost a husband and a father. And I would ask Mr. President for a moment of silence for Jeff Parker.
Please rise and offer a moment of silence.
Amen. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, and y'all. I just wanted to recognize two people here in the chamber for their accomplishments. First, the senator from the 15th for being selected to the Georgia Broadcast Hall of Fame, and also for the person in this Senate who drives the train, stirs the stew, and all those good things and make us look good. Happy birthday to the Secretary of the Senate, Mr. David Cook. Thank you very much.
He said he has no idea why they're making a big deal out of his 35th birthday. That's right. That's right. Chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd for, I'm guessing, the purposes of introducing the doctor of the day.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have Dr. Brad Bushnell here today, a great orthopedic surgeon from the Rome area. Now, he grew up in the Athens area, went to Clark Central, with the second floor resident there. They were the Clark Central Gladiators. I was an East Rome Gladiator, so I think we're the only three true gladiators in this group here today, though I hear the senator from the 46th wife is a gladiator, but I don't have any personal knowledge of that, so I won't speculate on that. But he went to Vanderbilt University and then went to the Medical College of Georgia and then got his residency in orthopedic surgery at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He is the lead team physician for our Rome Braves and is also an assistant professor of orthopedic surgery for the medical college over there, and serves the community in many areas. I know the Boys Club, and he's board of trustees for Berry College there, and he's a reserve sheriff and also with our SWAT team up there. He and his wife, Kimberly, have 2 children, Bo and Sarah Beth. I think I've told this story before, but back in campaign season a few years ago, his Clark Central classmate was running for office and called in on his personal cell phone. I happened to be in the operating room and intercepted the phone, and he had a hard time figuring out how I got the phone when he called him up, and I just said I was screening the calls up in my district, and took him a couple of minutes to figure out where we were at. But anyway, he is a great community leader up there, good friend of orthopedic hand surgeon in our body as well, and hopefully you'll welcome. I hear he's had a very busy day so far. He's like, you people are sick down there, but we've heard that before.
Would somebody from this side turn off the rules chairman's button? By the grace of God, we've missed his chance to deliver a point of personal privilege. I said that out loud. You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection or adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? You have a consent calendar of local bills before you, Mr. Secretary. Are there any objections filed to any of the bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed.
Is there objection or agreeing to the report of the Committee on State and Local Government, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. The questions on the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar, the yeas are 33, the nays are 0, and the bills having received the requisite constitutional majority are therefore passed. I apologize to the rules chairman for missing your window of opportunity. For what purpose does the distinguished senator late to the game from the 53rd
Parliamentary
state your
inquiry?
inquiry?
I understand that I missed my point of personal privilege by the person who ever pressed my button. So I just wanted to apologize for not being here for that notification. But I'll do better next time.
I can't imagine that happening. You only have friends in this room, no enemies. All right. We now will take up the bills on that were rescinded earlier today. They're on the supplemental local consent calendar on your desk. You have a supplemental calendar. Mr. Secretary, are there any objections filed to any of the bills on there?
Mr. President, there are no objections filed.
Is there objection or agreeing to the report of the Committee on State and Local Government, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar that was supplemental? For what purposes is Senator from the second rise?
Mr. President, I'll ask for unanimous consent to excuse the gentleman from the 10th.
He's already been excused. We waived off roll call earlier. Let me pick up where I read here. The chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. The questions on the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar. All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bills on the supplemental local consent calendar, the yeas are a consistent 33, the nays are 0, and the bills having received the requisite constitutional majority are therefore passed. Chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that the bills on the local consent calendar and the supplemental local consent calendar be immediately transmitted to the House.
Majority Leader has asked for unanimous consent for the bills on the local consent and supplemental consent calendar be immediately transmitted to the House. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and they are immediately transmitted. The chair continues to recognize the Majority Leader for a motion.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, 1 February 2022, pursuant to Senate Resolution 382.
Mr. Secretary, can you please read to us your announcements?
All committee meetings for today and for tomorrow have been canceled. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Those were some well-delivered announcements. Chair would like to recognize the senator from the 53rd for an announcement. I knew you were going to find a way to get up here. Is this a point of personal privilege or an announcement, or yes?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President, for entrusting me so much and our relationship of our professionalism and how it really inspires me. And I'm so grateful. Thank you. I do have an announcement. My announcement is that rules meeting will be upon adjournment today. We have 2 bills from the senator from the 56, and I need a quorum, so please attend if you're on the Rules Committee. Thank you.
The Majority Leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until Tuesday, January 31st, 2022 at 10 a.m. Before I take the yeas and nays, just a quick reminder, because I know everybody's going back home and you're going to want to pack your pretty dress or pretty suit. We've got the panoramic photo on Wednesday in here. So I know the Rules Chairman's concerned about his color coordination. He should be. So just want to remind everybody that we've got the panoramic photo on Wednesday. So all those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes probably do have it. And the Senate stands adjourned. Everyone travel home safely.